Welcome to Grey Primer, a channel that's mostly about miniatures. My name is Nick, I'm your host, and on this show I'm going to be doing another Trench Crusade diorama using mostly Warhammer miniatures. For this one we're going all the way back into the 15th century Trench Crusade lore and have a look at Jeanne d'Arc, or Joan of Arc, and see how she was able to defend France and pretty much all of Western Europe from the forces of Beelzebub. And of course, there are very stark differences between how we see people like Joan of Arc or Jeanne d'Arc in our human history and how that she's seen in Trench Crusade's history. In our history, she's seen as zombie mad or bewitched or perhaps a messenger from God, and others saw her as an inspiring warrior doing God's work. In our history, she's the savior of Orleans. In the history of Trench Crusade, she's the savior of Western Europe. One of them anyway. And she definitely needs to be celebrated with a little bit more lore and maybe a diorama here or there. So I'm going to do her justice by having her stand triumphantly on top of a pile of slain Beelzebub creatures and zombies and the like, and maybe even one of those big flesh amalgams. Get one of those up there too. And for that pile of bodies, I'm going to use this Regiments of Renown, Soulblight Gravelords, Veremort Shamblers. It's a bunch of zombies and ghouls, and yeah, that's going to be what she's standing on top of. And if you do like this content, please consider subscribing and switching on notifications and liking, commenting, sharing. Oh my god, you've got so much to do. One or two of those things will be enough. Thank you so much. Enjoy! Archon Studios out of Poland do these fantastic hard plastic miniatures. They do a whole range of fantasy, and even I think they're doing a bit of sci-fi. More importantly, they've started doing Trench Crusade hard plastic too, so check them out. This big guy is from Cool Mini or Not, CMON, CMON's, Zombicide and Expansion. I can't remember. And like I said in the intro here, the Soulblight Gravelords, Veremort Shamblers, beautifully made set of zombies, very reminiscent of the Cursed City zombies if you want more of the same. And in this box you also get that corpse cart, which is a fantastically detailed model from quite a few years ago. A nice mix of new and old. And here we have a very new manual, full color, the Deadwalker zombies, all lovely details in that. The corpse cart less so. It's much more, who knows? And also you see the difference in the frames. Look at the gaps between the parts of that. You can fit your fingers through there, no problem. Probably get cut. But the Deadwalker zombies, a modern kit, no space at all between the components. Now the corpse cart, this is the pile of bodies that sit in the middle of it. I think it just works well, especially when you consider the scale matches these Deadwalker zombies. I just want it to look like there's a pile of the dead here. A convincing kind of mound with the big lad perched nicely on top of it. And of course, you know, Joan of Arc standing on top of him. That's pretty much the concept that I had in mind when I was designing this one out. Ammo's extra thin cement, or to me is extra thin, whatever you have to hand, is perfect for something like this where it just bleeds into the pile, finds its way, connects them up. And yeah, they stuck together beautifully. I primed Joan of Arc a slightly darker grey. I went for the lighter grey with this lot. I think this is one of the Color Forge sprays as far as I remember. And then we have a very old pot of Citadel 1989 Rotting Flesh. This is from the Creature set of paints from, I think it was my first ever set of paints as a kid. But really works well as zombie skin. Human Flesh from AK's Quick Gen range is really good on this lighter base, and it gives a nice darker tone to the skin. And Leaf Green is fast becoming one of my favorite colors. It just works really well for like combat trousers and fatigues. I just like how it dries. The Quick Gen has been impressing me massively, actually. 8K's off to a cracking start with that range. And their metallics, like this dark steel, work well for armor plate, for weapons, swords and the like. But few things compare to Nurgle's Rot from Citadel. What a great and gooey, weird, shiny little paint this is. It's just so unpleasant looking, and it never looks dry. It always looks wet and shiny. It's great. AK's Blood Effect paint, highly recommended. especially if you're looking for an alternative to like Blood for the Blood God or the gore effects from Green Stuff World. I like how it goes on. It's got a nice mix of tones in there. Almost feels like a contrast type paint as well. AK Quick Gen Copper, another one of their metallics, is fast becoming a favorite with me. I just like how it looks almost like a true gold. I think when it dries, it looks like gold. Much better than most of the gold paints. And because I'm going to be using a blue contrast type paint for the robes and banner, I needed to sketch out some highlights here, and I used the Vallejo lighter gray primer for this. It just gives that highlight effect underneath the blue paint. Just gives a much better result. And because I'm a complete numpty, I forgot to record the footage of me doing the AK Ultramarine Blue part. So this is my fill-in for that. It's seamless. Wow, you could never tell the difference. What? Such camera trickery. How does he get away with it? Yeah, anyway. Some call it talent in a bottle. It's Citadel's Nuln Oil. I believe they changed the formula for this. I don't know if I've got an old one or a new one. I think this is an old one. When it runs out, I'll tell you what the new one's like when I have a base of comparison. But for now, doing its job. Cold Steel and Dark Steel, a couple of those metallics again from that quick gen range from AK, and they're very good. Once again, I get out the Citadel Rotting Flesh and cover the big lad in it. It's, yeah, you want unhealthy pallor, Rotting Flesh is a great place to start. Skeleton Horde's one of my favorite contrasts from Citadel. I love it so much, I poured half of it into, actually more than half of it into my palette. And it just was too much of a pain to try to put back into the bottle. It had also become tainted by that other Rotting Flesh stuff from the next pot. But I think I made use of some of it here, getting this lad painted up. It's just, we live and learn. I'm just terrible in this video. I'm making mistakes left, right, and center. But I'm just going to bluff my way through to the end. So, some more Rotting Flesh, Pallid Witch as well. Old and new Citadel paints work well for those highlights. This Infernal Red from AK has been impressing me as well. This is another quick gen mixed in with some medium. It's another nice blood, maybe a fresher blood look, but I wanted it for his nooks and crannies, and I think I eventually ended up sort of plastering it over him. Yeah, like you see here, and just rub off most of that with the thumb. The finger, it ends up looking suitably gross. My hands are getting very gory at this stage. I mean, if someone was to come to the door, like, how do you explain this? Well, you show them this, and that explains it. But then you have to explain that. Purple, I thought would be good for a bit of bruising, so I just dappled some of that on with what is probably supposed to be an old brush, but I can't imagine that it is. I tend to just grab whatever's near. Back over to the Pallid Witch, get some highlights onto these spiky bits. Again, some more paint on my fingers. And then it's just a matter of getting the big fella settled in to his new bed of the dead. And really, yeah, throw on a bit of glue onto their skin. Get his knee and elbow into the right spot there and hope for the best. And hope that it's a stable enough platform for old Joni to get some glue on her feet and stick onto. And yeah, that's pretty much the center of the diorama done. And it is pretty much also what I envisioned in my concept for it when I was planning it out, sitting in some coffee shop in Dublin somewhere. So when it came to the base, I had an idea of marking this out with Sharpies, marking down the sight line that Joan of Arc had from the top of the thing, and perhaps putting red flowers in where the blood would be, black flowers for the battlefield. I did do it initially. It did not work. It just didn't look right. So I scraped it all away, went back to my Vallejo Earth Effects, Diorama FX, Lava, whatever this stuff is called. One of my go-tos for basing dioramas is this lava stuff. There's thick mud or brown mud or whatever it's called is another great one. Once it's like this, once you have it the texture you want, it will stay forever. It is just the coolest stuff. And while it's still tacky, I tend to glue in components. I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but it's what I do and it seems to work. I also pressed it in here to show me where it was making contact, because you can see the lava bits and the knees and stuff there. And you just press it in. It's all glued. Everything's still sort of drying underneath, but once it dries, it will bond together. And for this diorama, I tried to imagine something cool that Joan of Arc might say. And I thought, if they seek me, tell them to follow the blood of their dead was just the thing. I was going to write that in 15th century French, but it was too hard to verify, so you can have modern French. Anyway, lots of different bloods are around. Green Stuff World, AK, Vallejo, Citadel, everyone seems to be making a gore effect. And while a lot of these paints will contain some kind of gloss medium or gloss varnish in them, just to give them that wet shine, they do tend to dry quite dark. And I thought that I would need just a little bit of the AK Deep Red from the Intense range to give it a little bit of a lift, bit of a highlight. So it was just a case of sort of mixing that all in to complete the effect. And here they are, the vanquished foot soldiers of Beelzebub, just piled up on the battlefield, rats squirming amongst them. Some of them are still got their swords in their hands, and they are a motley crew. But they fought, they tried to hang on, and not even the absolute bulk of one of Beelzebub's amalgams, one of his flesh beasts, was able to hold back the forces of Joan of Arc, this triumphant warrior standing astride this big pile of putrid meat that Beelzebub once called his own. This Trench Crusade diorama is gross, but it was a lot of fun to make, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. I just want to thank you for spending some time with me today. I've got more videos coming up. Until then, take care, and bye-bye.